What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here with Nick Tasso taking a look at some GPP bats for tonight's slate. 15 games. I mean, we got a lot of options. I feel like it's an above average pitching slate. I feel like yesterday kind of was too, but it didn't play like it. I mean, Kershaw didn't pitch well. Severino didn't pitch well. No one really pitched well.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think there is a good amount of starters on this slate, but you know what? There are some bad ones, and that's who we need to find.
Yeah, there are definitely some guys that we'll be picking on. Jumping into catcher, this was probably the position that took me the longest to figure out who I was going to go with. Because like I don't even traditionally like anyone for really a cash game play, but we're here for GPP bats anyway. I know you and I both liked Evan Gaddis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's weird. He hasn't really shown the power this year, only 2 home runs, but he's hitting over 320 this year, 7 for 23 against Hamels in his career. Obviously, small sample size, but it is what it is. Gaddis, decent ballpark, and Hamels can give up hits when he gets in those little funks.
Yeah, I mean, Hamels really hasn't looked like the dominant lefty that he once was. I mean, not striking anyone out, which is kind of an issue, and I think that's why I like Gaddis a little bit more. And yeah, Gaddis has been putting the ball in play a lot more than usual. You go back to last year, I mean, over 200 ISO against lefties. I mean, that was kind of the story with him. You play him against lefties over the last few seasons. But Gaddis, I mean, I think reasonably priced on both sites, and there is some upside.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, once you put the bat on the ball, a lot of things happen. Obviously, striking out still can give Gaddis some problems, but like you said, Hamels doesn't strike too many guys out anymore, and he just hasn't looked the same.
Yep. Devin Mesoraco is a guy you were taking a look at. This is a guy who's working his way back. I mean, talented hitter. Good matchup here.
Yeah, I know a lot of people forget about him. It was what 2 years ago when he was really good, maybe even 3 years ago. But he's priced pretty cheaply and going up against Glass now, which really isn't a tough pitcher at all. Games in Cincinnati, and you look at Mesoraco, he's been hitting pretty well. So I kind of think his power is going to come around at some point too.
Yep, I'm a big fan of his. I mean, the only issue with him over the last 2 seasons has been his injuries. It hasn't been his play at all. I like him. I think a guy, if he finds his way into the lineup, I'll take a look at tonight is Miguel Montero. I like the lefties against Hellickson. Chicago let everyone down in a big way last night. But I
No,
think with one blowing out, not you.
no, I only played Rizzo because everyone was on him, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So I had actually, funny thing is, I had Tommy Joseph, but then I had so much salary left over, so then I went to Rizzo. But
Oh
it still
man.
worked in cash. But it is what it is. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, Montero's a guy to take a look at if he's in the lineup. I mean, hitting well when he's in. Probably going to be hitting sixth or seventh in that lineup, which I don't mind at all. Um, but he's just more of a
Yeah,
cheap guy if you need him.
absolutely. I can definitely see that. You look at Hellickson, and he's been pitching well this year, but I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop at some point.
Yeah, that'll happen. Um, Salvador Perez, 3,200 on FanDuel. I mean, DK, what's he?
Yeah, he's I think 34. Give me 1 second to pull it back up. But yeah, 32 as well on DraftKings. He has good numbers against Quintana. He's hitting over 300 against him and 60 at bats. I know BBP isn't the greatest thing to really go after, but I think after you get 50 at bats, I think you kind of can realize that the hitter is doing something right against the starter. And you look at Quintana, he's had a couple good starts this year, but he's also had a few bad ones, and especially that one against Minnesota. So I think the Royals, if they can hit him a little bit harder than usual than what they've been doing this year, I think Perez is in a good spot.
I always like Salvi hitting the middle of that lineup. Um, I think the only downgrade for me against him is with the ballpark, but I mean, he's shown power at Kaufman before, so I'm fine with it, especially at that price. I don't mind taking the knock there.
Yeah, he's not overly expensive, which is good. So if you were looking for a cheap guy, he's not too bad. And actually, all the catchers really are pretty much priced nicely on this slate.
Yeah, they are. So I mean, I think you're getting a nice mid-range or cheap option tonight anyway.
Yep.
First base, we were kind of talking about this position a little bit before the show. Freddie Freeman, I mean, coming in as your top options you're looking at, which I totally get. I mean, red hot and Harvey's been struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a 522 WOBA against righties this first month, 429 ISO. He's just been extremely good. Six straight double digit fantasy outputs. And I mean, we look at this ballpark in Atlanta, it's a little bit better than what they used to play at for hitters. So I definitely think Freeman, for me, is the top guy.
Yep, I like Freeman quite a bit. Um, I don't mind going back to Rizzo. I'm not sure how many people will, especially just because Freddie Freeman's right there. But Rizzo still didn't kind of make my cut. I do like him, but a guy I'm looking at, I like Hanley, hitting the ball hard. Home runs are starting to come around a little bit more here. I am not a believer in Alec Asher, and he's a good pitcher. I think, yes, he's pitched well. But if the Sox offense doesn't come around tonight, I mean, I'll be severely disappointed as a fan, but also in just terms of my lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really mind Hanley. About a week and a half ago, I know there was concerns about potential shoulder injury, and that's why he hasn't had any power. But since then, he's hit 3 home runs, so I can definitely get on board with that. It looks like he's finally coming around.
You and I were talking, just touch on Matt Carpenter here. Love the matchup, love everything about it. Like Matt Carpenter. The gripe is like he's cheap, but I mean, he really does have to get that home run potential to really go off, and he's just still not a first baseman.
Yeah, he actually, for me, he has same issue as I feel with Xander Bogarts. They don't have enough power to really justify their 4K plus price tag on the site. So, and when you factor in that he can only play Carpenter at first base, it kind of really hinders his usability.
Yeah, and especially on a full slate. I mean, maybe if this was 7 or 8 games, he'd make the cut, but I think he only just kind of fits in like a Cardinal stack if you're going that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm definitely going to trademark usability for future pods. I like that word.
When in doubt, just add ability at the end, and it sounds right.
It works. I mean, you thought it was a real word, so we're just going to go with it. See what happens.
Matt Holliday's a guy you were looking at. I mean, love the Yankees bats tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I have to say anything else besides Matt Latos, right?
No, plus Yankee Stadium.
No. Yeah, I mean, Latos looked okay, but he's pitching against the Cardinals, which really up and down this year. So I think he got him on a good night in the last outing. Other than that, going up against Yankees, it could be a long night for him, or a quick night, actually. He could hit the showers early.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we'll talk about a few more Yankees as we go on through the positions, but I like Holiday. You have that diverse position over in DraftKings. You can play him in outfield or first base, but given the Yankees have a couple other outfielders you can look at, you're probably end up playing him first base.
Yeah,
Um,
and Holiday too has really been a boomer bust play, and this is one of the nights where I think he's going to be a boom against Latos.
yep, no, I definitely like him as well. Um, Joey Votto's the guy I'm intrigued with tonight. I'm intrigued with the Reds bats. Just because I think Freeman and Rizzo are going to draw a lot of the ownership up top. I'm kind of curious to see what Votto looks like. And as far as kind of a leverage play, I like him as a one-off. I also like a red stack tonight. So um, I like him a lot here against Glasnow, who's been up and down in his career so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like Votto as well. Obviously, when he's facing a subpar pitcher, you got to like him a little bit more. And my issue always is at first base is the guy that you choose at first base, because there are so many studs, just has to go off. I mean, unfortunately, if you pick one of those top five guys all priced high and you have the one guy who doesn't do anything, it kind of sets you far back for the night. And unfortunately, Votto sometimes has been doing that lately this year, more so than last year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, you get Freeman who hits 2 home runs, you get Thames who hits 2 home runs, and you miss out on that. And you're playing Rizzo, Votto, Hanley, and they all kind of go
Yeah,
off. Yeah, it's a
it,
killer.
it really is.
So, anyone else at first base for you?
Just maybe. Don't hold me to this, but Kenny's Vargas, if he's in the lineup, I'm not a huge fan of him, but going up against Sonny Gray, I'm not sure what to expect out of him. Vargas has a nice salary compared to everyone else at first base, and he also offers a huge amount of power. It's just if he can hone it in.
Yep, I like Twins bats tonight going up against Gray. Not sure what to make of him come off the DL. Could also be a quick outing for him. Um, Moving into second base here, I know Daniel Murphy was a guy that you were looking at against Walker. I mean, Walker home run potential for these lefties Nationals bats tonight's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Taiwan Walker isn't the best. He's also not the worst. But when you have a good offense like Washington, I kind of tend to go on the side of the offensive team. It's a decent ballpark as well. Murphy wasn't really great in his last series after he left Coors, but he's still a pretty solid hitter. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say about him. I'm not a huge fan of him tonight. I like him. I think his price is a little bit high. So if I have the salary, I'll probably play him. But I think there's a few guys I might play a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I think pricing wise, I mean, he's expensive. And it's basically more of a move if you're paying down on the hill to get Murphy in there. But I like Murphy. I think the upside's there tonight. Um, I like Robinson Cano, who seems to be price dropped every time he's in Seattle, which I get, but I also think Cano still has the power there at Safeco to do some damage. So 4,100 on DK, and this is probably specifically a DK play. I like Cano against Schumacher. I know Schumacher is more reverse splits, but it's not like he's great against lefties. And the home run potential is there for some of these Seattle bats.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Shoemaker really, he's another guy where you're not sure what you're going to get some days. He can look brilliant for 5 innings and then have one really bad innings. And Cano really isn't priced too egregiously, where if he does hit a home run, you're kind of happy with it. And in turn, you only really need one at bat for him to make up that salary.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he's in play there. Second baseman for you that you're looking at?
D. Gordon, 3 stolen bases yesterday, which is basically just as good as a solo home run. I'm not sure if he gets 3 again tonight, but clearly he wasn't being stopped yesterday, and I don't think the Rays are going to change that in this matchup. So if he gets on base, he does have a huge potential to easily rack up some fantasy points.
And ownership wise, I think being at the same price as Cano, VR, 400 cheaper than Murphy, 300 cheaper than Dozier. I mean, talking ownership wise, I mean, it's got to be 5%.
He was 3.6 yesterday in the GPP I had him. So
And that was a smaller slate.
yeah, yep, 3.6. It was crazy. And then I was the only guy who had him in my 50-50s.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at a good kind of pivot play off those names, I like Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, for guys, home runs are come and go, but for people like Gordon who have stolen base potentials, like we'll allude to Billy Hamilton later, as long as they get on base, there's a good chance of them racking up fantasy points.
Yep.
Unfortunately, for other guys who have to rely on the home run, yeah, it might come more frequently than other people, but it's hard to deny when you have stolen base potential going up against a pretty terrible catcher.
Yeah. Second baseman I like, Starlin Castro, another Yankees bat. I feel like price wise, he just still not priced where he really should be. I mean, hitting righties really well. 381 Woba, 190 ISO. We talked about Latos. This is a guy who at home has always been much better off power wise. So, I mean, I think for price considerations, he's going to be chalky, but I don't mind eating it just because the potential points per dollar return.
Yeah, absolutely. He's up there with Avisel Garcia with batting average right now. So I definitely like Starlin Castro. And you got to look at the matchup again. At the end of the day, a lot of these players that you're going to select is all based on matchup. And Latos is not good.
No. Any other second baseman here?
Yeah, speaking about matchups, we got Colton Wong up against Willie Peralta. Peralta has looked a little bit better than he has in years past, but he still struggles a lot against lefties. And Wong actually hasn't been bad in recent weeks, so I don't mind him. I'm not in love with the play, but if you need to fit him in, I definitely think he's in a good spot. I just don't like the ballpark.
Yeah, that's the only thing for me, Bush Stadium. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, attacking away Peralta is always a good move. Moving on to third base, Twins bat here. I like Miguel Sano. Um, I feel like DraftKings he's underpriced for the matchup, 4,100. FanDuel, I don't even think he's that bad. I think people might shy away just because he's a little bit higher priced there, but With Gray, I mean, you go back to last year, 379 WOBA to righties, 1.89 home runs per nine. Doesn't miss a ton of bats. I mean, Sano's kind of cut down that strikeout rate and swing strike percentage. So, I mean, Sano's a guy with tremendous power. And I like him just because I'm not a big fan of kind of the other top options at third base anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight's a really weird matchup wise for third baseman. So I definitely agree with you. Sano does have a lot of potential here. It's still kind of a wild card what you're going to get from Sonny Gray. So I know both you and I like Minnesota bats. It's just kind of how many guys can we really throw in there to take a chance at Gray?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sano's probably my favorite of the group. Um, if I'm, tossing out a one-off, I think it'll only be Sano. But I might work my way up to maybe a little mini stack there.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
So, third base for you. As far as a high price guy, were you looking at anyone?
Chris Bryant. I know yesterday was a poor outing, but it was a poor outing for most of the Chicago Cubs. I think because of that, his ownership will be a little bit down. But before that, he had 6 straight double-digit fantasy games, so he still has a lot of potential, and he has a lot of damage he can do. And he's really not just the one-hit wonder. He kind of can do multiple hits, multiple at bats, home runs. He can really do everything. Hellickson, I think people are going to shy away from Cubs just because of Hellickson's numbers. But at the end of the day, he's still Jeremy Hellickson, and this is still the Cubs offense.
Yeah, and I feel like the perception of Chris Bryant's been that he's underperformed this year. And I mean, you look at this like last month alone. I mean, still over a 200 ISO, 355 WOBA. Like he hasn't been bad. Like people are kind of feel like they're just gonna go, oh, he's been bad this year.
Yeah, I think it's just because he's always the one of the highest priced third basemen. No matter what matchup it's in, he's just going to be up there, and some people aren't going to play him. So then you also have people who aren't paying attention to what he does day in and day out, guys, because they might not always play the top priced third baseman. So I think a lot of people just haven't really had a lot of exposure to him, except in like the really good matchups where they do a Cub stack.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Jed Jerko, going back to the well here. I mean, two homers yesterday. Dude's been absolutely crushing the ball.
Yeah, I like him. Willie Peralta, not the best as we've already talked about. He's hitting fourth. And yeah, he was extremely good yesterday.
I like him. Don't mind going back. Joey Gallo's a guy I'm taking a look at. Um, Vegas is not high on Texas. I'm kind of wondering why. But I mean, in good ballpark, I know they're very boomer bust. This is an offense that just is kind of home run or nothing. But in that ballpark, I mean, Mike Fiers doesn't miss a lot of bats. I kind of could see some of the lefties doing some damage. And I think Joey Gallo, priced at 3.5, I think he's worth a shot. I mean, this guy has monster home run upside.
Oh, he absolutely does. My only concern, which is always is with Joey Gallo, is he doesn't bat in a favorable spot. Seventh or eighth kind of hinders his ability. But at the end of the day, I've played him before because he really just needs that one swing to really pay off that 3,500 salary. So I don't mind him. It just needs to be in the right spot.
Yeah, that's fair. Third baseman for you. I know you're taking a look at Travis Shaw. Guy who's hitting the ball well.
Yeah, I'm not a lot of guys actually I'm not a huge fan of. Just here, I like Shaw. I don't like the matchup, but at the end of the day, Carlos Martinez really hasn't looked like himself. He's allowing 1.32 home runs per nine to lefties, and Shaw really has shown a lot of power. A lot of people thought it was just at Fenway Park last year, but moving to Miller Park, he's been doing well, even though this game is at Busch Stadium. I know that. So I think he just continues raking the ball.
Yep. DK, I like tossing him in GPPs 3.3. Reasonable price for him. I mean, hitting the ball well. And it's not like, away from home, he's his numbers indicate that he's been a little bit poor, but there hasn't been a substantial drop off or anything that leads me to believe he's just been more unlucky than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Shaw, he is an interesting dude, and he looks like he can be locked in again. So I don't mind playing him. And then the last guy I had, Jason, would be Jake Lamb. I'm not like completely sold on Jake Lamb, but he's just always underpriced. And he's not the best hitter, but he hits in the middle of an order of a really good lineup. So I like Lamb against Rourke.
I like Lamb. I mean,
He's always underpriced.
he is underpriced. I mean, I know these bats are away from Chase Field, which ups their potential when they're there. But I think contrarian wise, I like Lamb at 3,900. I mean, dude has monster power. I mean, 272 ISO against righties going back to last year. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. So anyone else?
Not for me at third base. I mean, I think Gallows and
All
Noah are
right.
probably the only two GPP guys that I'm looking at. I mean, um, that was it.
Shortstop. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
shortstop. Shortstop was a weird one. I like Trey Turner. I like the upside. I like the matchup. I don't like the price for him, but um, and I'm kind of maybe hoping other people feel the same and that it drops his ownership down.
Yeah, obviously Trey Turner is a huge hitter. But I don't know. I think that I'm probably just going to go cheap on shortstop because I think you can get a few lower guys priced pretty nicely.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, Trey Turner 4,700, Carlos Correa 46, Trevor Story 46. There's a lot of high priced guys. I think Turner's just probably my favorite of the group. Bogart's 46. If he was like 38, 39, sure.
I can't do Bogarts. All he is a singles hitter. Like going back to the middle of last year, he has absolutely zero power, and it's just he's not good. So for a guy who can only hit like two singles or one single and a double, it's not worth paying over 4,000 for it, even though he does lead off.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the
So
upside's
that's
really
my
there.
rant. No.
So,
I'll move on though to one of my shortstop guys who I'm not a huge fan of, but I feel like I say that a lot. I'm just not a huge fan
yeah,
of
no,
him.
you've definitely said
But
that about like 70% of
yeah,
these players.
but it's all matchup dependent. I mean, each day, like they're not the greatest hitters, but if they're in a good matchup, you might as well like them. So that's why I'm going with Christian Arroyo. Hit second yesterday, has hits in 6 of 8 games. I don't think he's going to have a huge performance, but he gets a couple hits. He has a pretty low price tag on both sites, so I don't mind him. I don't.
If you need to punch shortstop, I'm fine with that. I mean, hit in the middle of the order. A couple knocks last night against Kershaw. It's encouraging.
Yeah.
Um,
Another lefty tonight.
yeah, Alex Wood. I mean, 2,4,100 guys. I don't mind on DK is Ledmus Diaz. He's also cheap on FanDuel. And it looks like Segura's moved back to shortstop eligibility on DK, but or maybe he's always been there. I know he's been the DL, but either way, I don't mind both their matchups against righties who are reverse splits. So um, I could take a look at there. I think that might be the highest price I go if I'm not going with Turner. Is probably in that mid range with those two.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm just not a huge fan of for shortstop on the slate. Never really am.
No, it's not. Was there anyone else for you that maybe you're a fan of?
Yeah, maybe Chris Owings. He's priced pretty cheaply. He does have options to put him in outfield on DraftKings, but if he's shortstop eligible, might as well just keep him at shortstop. And Rourke does struggle every once in a while, so throwing him in, I can understand it.
Yep, I'm cool with that. Didi Gregorius is my other one. Continuing the trend. I mean, coming back from the DL. Obviously, last game was his only real down game, but two or more hits in his first 3 games against Baltimore in that series. Um, a couple of doubles, couple of RBIs. Gets Latos here, hitting sixth. I mean, in front of Judge. In back of Castro. I mean, this lineup is deep. I think the Yankee stack's going to be tricky because there's numerous ways you can go with it.
Absolutely, especially on DraftKings when you have Halladay who could be outfield. And then you could even probably throw in Bird, but he's looked really awful. So I'd probably stay away from him.
Moving on, we'll
Outfield?
get out of that hellhole called shortstop. Is it okay?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Outfield, I feel like Harper's going to come in a little bit chalky. I think people are going to might force him in even at a high price, but I'm kind of looking at just look at Walker's home run numbers to lefties, and I'm like, this could be a night where Harper just like tees off twice.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see that. I mean, we all remember Walker last year with Seattle and the year before, just not really doing a lot and giving up the long ball a lot, in even in pitchers' park. So I think they're in Washington today. I think, like you said, Harper hits well there, and he could find some balls and take them deep.
Yep.
That's as simple as that. There's not much else to say.
Yeah, I mean over two home runs per nine for Walker over the last year and a half to lefties. So
Not good.
no, definitely not. Uh,
So you're not going to roster Walker tonight as a contrarian play?
no,
No. Okay.
I think I used up my one Walker ticket last start against San Diego, and that was it. I'm done for another month.
Yeah.
I get that coupon in the
Okay.
mail once a month.
Oh, okay. Is
So
it buy one get one free or something like that?
yeah, I mean his free starts are usually 8 runs, 8 earned.
Yeah. You should talk to DraftKings, see if they'll reimburse you for that.
They won't. They won't get through to me.
Oh, you've asked them? Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, I think that my top guy would be Nelson Cruz. I know we've stated it's not a great ballpark, but he still can mash the ball even in Seattle and going up against Shoemaker. He's seen him a lot the last couple of years, so I definitely think Cruz is a dangerous bat.
I like Cruz. I mean, dude's red hot right now. Yogi Schumacher, home run prone fly ball pitcher. I know the ballpark downgrades a little bit, but Cruz, I mean, still over 200 ISO at Safeco last year. Um, yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, 4,200. I think the Mariners bats are priced down for some potential home run upside, even in a bad ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like Cruz. And the thing about Cruz to me is he's never like egregiously priced. And I know I've said egregiously now twice, but it just is what it is. I don't My vocabulary isn't the best some days.
I mean,
So, but
there's
yeah,
well,
so Cruz price nice. So let's go from there.
I like Cruz. Um, a lot of guys in that range that I do like. I mean, Billy Hamilton 4-1 coming off a big game. Three stolen bases, walk-off RBI double. Good spot for him here against Glasnow, who's slow to the plate, easy to run on, obviously wild. So I think Billy Hamilton, I'm fine with going back to the well and just kind of locking him in.
Yeah, Hamilton's like D. Gordon. Might as well just let him run.
Yep. Matt Campa is a guy I know you were looking at. Matt Harvey's a guy
Yeah.
I pick on. Fire away.
Yeah, Kemp, he's kind of like Cruz. He's just been red hot lately, and I still don't think, yeah, he's up there now in price. But I don't know. I think he likes the new ballpark, and things are going well for him. So keep jumping on that Kemp train.
Yep. 210 ISO against righties going back to last year. I like Kemp. I like the Atlanta Bats. Scrappy. So
Yeah,
Carlos
and
Gomez.
the thing about it, oh, I had something to say.
Yeah, say it.
No, okay. I was just gonna say Kemp's really like in the mix of a lot of lefties. So if they were to knock out Harvey early in the game, they might be throwing some lefties out of the pen, which means he might get a good advantage against a lefty pitcher.
That's true.
But on to Gonzalez.
Carlos Gomez, sir.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
I'm just not a big,
Texas.
yeah, I'm not a big believer in Fires keeping this Texas offense at bay like Vegas is. I just don't see it. Um, and I like Carlos Gomez. I like where he hits in the order. I mean, he's up in the top half. He's been hitting righties better than he has lefties. I mean, over 200 ISO. He's been a little bit boomer bust. I know the big game was the cycle. Other than that, he's been a little bit rocky, but stolen base potentials there. Extra base hit potentials there. I think he's at a reasonably price to take some shots with. Um, and yeah, I mean, I like Texas bats, and I think they're going to be a little bit sneaky because Vegas really isn't jumping all over them.
Yeah, I like that at all. Gomez, like you said, he bats high up there in the order. He's not the best guy because his batting average is still kind of low, but he's got a decent on base percentage, uh, some power. So I definitely don't mind him. I did it again. And Fires really isn't that good of a pitcher. I quit. I can't do it. Gonna power through. I got two more. Let's go.
I know. The judge. The judge is who you're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Aaron Judge. I mean, his power has been phenomenal lately. So I definitely think Matt Latos, Yankee Stadium. Judge just keeps doing what he's been doing. Multi home run games, single home run games. He's still priced somewhat affordable, so I like him here.
Yep. I'm a big fan of Judge. I like that offense quite a bit tonight. Uh, as far as another guy goes, I mean, I'm digging down cheap. Franklin Gutierrez is supposed to be off the DL and back into the lineup tonight, which is perfect because he's facing Matt Moore. Not that I think Matt Moore is a bad pitcher, and I think he actually goes out and has a decent outing. But I think as far as the Dodgers one-off for a punt price with the home run potential, I'll take a look at Gutierrez and GPPs. I mean, boom or bust, but I'll take a look.
Yeah, I really like that play. Go back a few years ago, and Franklin Gutierrez was such a deadly hitter against lefties, and then he had struggles with his health, and then he was out of baseball. Then he came back, and it's all been good things ever since. He still isn't a monster power hitter against lefties, but he does hit for average. And the thing about him too in that Dodger lineup, because there are so many lefties, he hits in a favorable spot when they are facing an opposing lefty.
Yeah, I mean, he's always going to be hitting what, probably fourth behind Turner, fourth or fifth.
Yeah, absolutely. Fourth is a good spot for any guy.
Yep. Last guy for you.
Michael Conforto, he's just extremely way too cheap right now. And it's a good ballpark for him. He's been hitting the ball well. So I definitely would roster him in a lot of formats tonight.
Yeah, you look at the Mets bats. I mean, as far as like one-offs go, I mean, I like Conforto. Jay Bruce is another guy to take a look at. He has good history against Dickey. Only 3,400. And, as we kind of touched on in that ballpark, SunTrust is playing very, very well to lefties so far. So
Yeah.
I like Conforto. I like Bruce too.
Yeah, and Bruce can you can fit him in at first base too
Yep,
on
cheap guy if you
DraftKings.
want some. And he's got the home run potential we're looking for, so I don't mind using him at first base.
Alrighty, let's do it.
So that's going to wrap things up here. You can head on over to davefantasycafe.com, check out the great tools and content.